Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'll be going over the recently announced student loan forgiveness plan that President Biden has just announced and breaking it down for you, and why I feel that it's beneficial to some, obviously, myself included, but overall it's not solving the problem. And there's an overarching problem of the colleges overcharging for college tuition. That is the main problem that needs to be addressed, that from everything I've seen is not tackling that issue. So again, my name's Brian Barsoon. I upload YouTube videos daily. You can find me on Rumble, Twitter, Instagram, True Social, all the different social platforms. If you're interested, I'll have that all linked below in the description. But getting right into it here, this is from CNN Politics. So Biden announced its student loan forgiveness plan. And we'll just cover some of the main points here. President Biden formally announced a federal student loan relief plan for some borrowers on Wednesday, saying in White House remarks that the action is aimed at helping families who need it the most. So far, so good. Borrowers who hold loans with the Department of Education and make less than $125,000 a year are eligible for up to $20,000 in student loan forgiveness if they obtained Pell Grants for college. Individuals who make less than $125,000 a year but did not receive Pell Grants are eligible for $10,000 loan forgiveness. So obviously that can vary, but the minimum is $10,000. And that's for undergraduate. So if you have graduate or master's, that does not apply. This is just for undergraduate or your first 4 years in college. The Biden administration also announced undergraduate federal loans can cap their payment at 5% of their monthly income. Additionally, the White House is extending the pandemic-era pause on student loan repayments one final time until December 31st, end of the year. So that's just breaking down some of the key points of the announcement here. So as you can see here, I have my kind of placeholder for my diploma. It's not actually in there, but from where I went to Coastal Carolina University. Let me see if I get that in the shot here. You can see that. I got my business marketing degree, administration. Whoop-de-doo, that's great. So anyway, moving on. So I just wanted to show that so I have some skin in the game. But, it's good that they're giving up $10,000. I still owe more than that, but will definitely be a good chunk. I think the most important part of all of that really is the third part. The undergraduate federal loans can cap their payment at 5%. So that is allowing people that can still make payments and kind of get the ball rolling there, because we all know why they're doing this. They want to get some of their funds back. They want people to start paying it, and if they feel they can give you a little bit of a relief, you'll go, now I only owe $20,000. Now I'll start making payments on it. It makes the burden a little bit less for people, and it might wipe out debt completely for people. It's estimated that 1/3 of people who have debt that will be wiped completely clean, so then they can go ahead and spur the market and maybe purchase a house that they were saving up for, pay off their credit card loans, things like that, buy a new car or that electric vehicle that they want everyone to buy. I made a separate video about that, breaking all that down, why there's really no incentive to do that currently, but I can make additional videos if you guys want about that. But here's the also from the whitehouse.gov site here, breaking everything down as well. So it's just a fact sheet, but this is the part I wanted to highlight in particular. The cost of attending college has skyrocketed, but federal support has not kept pace. So if you look at the chart here, it was pretty even, back 40 years back. Looks like it was around 8,000 was the average, and it was about 6,000. So it was really only about 2,000. So about 3/4 of it was covered, which is pretty good. Fast forward to about this time. This is kind of when I started going into when I enrolled into Coastal Carolina. It's 2006, 2007. It was still the same, so nothing's changed there. Still about 6,000, and then the price had gone up to about 16,000. So instead of being 75%, it was now give or take, probably about 30%, if my math's right there, maybe 30-40%. And then by the time I left, which was about 2011, 2012, still had stayed the same, and now we're up to 20,000. So now we're at like 25-30% of the overall coverage in Pell Grants. So obviously that gap right there is what everyone had to cover, whether it be through private loans or just taking out loans through the federal government, other avenues. It did kind of peak, a couple years ago, as much as think that's 23,000. So now we're only at about 25%. So, that's where this whole gap is what they're trying to alleviate. And in the plan, they see down here, they want to double the amount of the Pell Grant. So bring it from 6,000 up to 12,000. So that would be, would have covered it probably until about the time I started going to school. Would have kept that same ratio from here, about 75% coverage. Obviously, they're not going to cover the entire thing. That's a whole separate topic of whether or not it should be covered, kind of like how it is when you go through K through 12 schooling, where it's just taxed out at the end, every year based on whether or not your child have a child or whether they go to your school district or not. But so they want to double that to 12,000. So which is good, but there's going to be a huge problem there, which I don't either they haven't thought about it or they just don't care. It's the fact that if they double this amount, what I think is going to happen is that colleges are just going to increase their price of tuition by the same amount. And I made a similar example in a video, I think it was a couple days ago, talking about the electric vehicles and how the Inflation Reduction Act has made it so that you can get $7,500 in tax write-offs for purchasing an electric vehicle. And concurrently, a couple days before the bill was passed, Ford and GM said that due to inflation costs and other factors, and they just literally said other factors, that they had to increase the price of their vehicles by $7,500. So you can see the correlation there. So that wasn't done, in my opinion, by accident. They were just being preemptive and just being ahead of it and just trying to catch up. So I feel like the colleges and universities are going to do the exact same thing because a lot of the times when you get a federal loan, the reason why it's so good and you get low interest rates is because it's backed by the government. Government has a lot of money and they're big daddy. They can offer those low rates to everyone. If you go through the private sector, that you get higher interest rates in the 6 and 7% range, but the government can offer it at 4% because of their big coffers. So colleges and universities know this. So if it's a state university, they definitely are going to take advantage of this, and that will bleed down into the private universities as well. So that's the problem I think is going to happen, and that's not this. Although this is good and it's benefiting me, I'm going to benefit from this greatly. This will help pay down some of my debt that I still owe. I feel that it's going to create a bigger problem, and it might even make this graph go even higher. So it might only go up to here, but then you might see this graph keep going up into like 28, 30,000, maybe even 35,000 in the next 10 to 20 years. Because if they know that money's coming in already as a university, they can plan accordingly and start. They're not going to charge it all at once. They're not going to do what GM and Ford did. That was, pretty ballsy on their part to just say, oh, well, $7,500 increase. But the universities are a little bit smarter than that. They're going to slowly increase it, probably maybe $1,000 at a time, maybe $500. And over the course of, 5 to 10 years, it will catch up. And then next thing you know, could be $6,000 more than it was before this announcement was made. So that's my initial fear and my initial reaction as to what's going on with this whole announcement. Like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Comment down below if this is going to benefit you, or if you paid off all your loans already and you're just pissed off and you're like, what did nothing for me, I get scraps, or if you think this is going to happen. And again, you can find me on different platforms as well, on Rumble at bb_news, on Twitter at Brian_Barsoon. You can find me on Instagram at Brian Barsoon. Thanks for watching and take care.